Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an OP Draconic Sorcerer multi-class with the Blade-Singing Wizard in Baldur's Gate 3's patch 8. These two go together very well because you get built-in mage armor, you also get to empower your elemental damage types at level 6 of the Draconic Sorcerer, and then at level 6 of the Blade-Singing Wizard you get an extra attack. On top of all this, you can learn spells from scrolls, and the Blade-Singing Wizard can give you some extra spells that the Sorcerer does not have access to. So I think the best choice is to start with a Sorcerer because you get Constitution saving throw proficiency, which will add a +4 to our Constitution saving throws. On top of that, you'll also get a bonus to our Constitution saving throws from the Blade-Singing Wizard, so we can hold our concentrations very well. For the cantrips, I would recommend having Booming Blade from the start. This is extremely useful. Mage Hand and Minor Illusion are two other extremely useful spells. Mage Hand, you can throw water bottles to set up lightning spells or cold spells. Minor Illusion to group people together. I also think that Firebolt and even Shocking Grasp are two good choices as well, because this can make it so that the target can't hit you with an opportunity attack. So if you need to get away, that's a great way to do so. We don't need to take Mage Armor because we got it built in, so we're going to go with Magic Missile and Shield. And for the Draconic Ancestor, I like Cold a lot, but I think that the best choice would be to go with a Lightning version of this. So we're going to go with either the Bronze for the Fog Cloud spell, or Witch Bolt if you go with the blue one here. And then for our ability scores, this is where things get a little dicey because we do need some intelligence and we do need some charisma. Now, we can go with a stat spread of something like this, or you can balance them out. We do need intelligence to prepare spells, however, so you likely would like to have a dump stat. We do want to have 16 dexterity and then also 16 charisma for spell casting purposes, 14 constitution to stay alive. If you have the dexterity gauntlets, you can dump your dexterity and put all those points into intelligence. Likely, it'd be ideal to have most of your stats in your intelligence, but we can roll with something like this, or if you got the Constitution Amulet, you can also dump that, or the Warped Headband of Intellect can give you an 17 intelligence. So that's another choice. We got 3 dump stat items, so pick one of them that you aren't using on another character. For example, I'm going to use the Constitution Amulet, so we dump that. We got 14 intelligence, 16 dexterity, 12 wisdom for saves, and 16 charisma. If you're dumping your dexterity, you put those points into Constitution, etc. Into level 2, we get our meta magics, and this is what makes us so strong, because we can do 2 weapon attacks and follow it up with a spell. That's powerful. Now, for our next level spell, Thunder Wave's nice. Chromatic Orb can give you a variety of different elemental damage types. Ice Knife can be cast while you're silenced, but we will be doing melee attacks as well. I like to have Thunder Wave because being able to push enemies off of ledges is extremely useful. Now, we'll take Twin Spell because this can allow us to twin haste to another target, so we can have 2 people get an extra action. Distance Spell because sometimes you can't hit a target with your spells, so that's going to help out and give you a 50% increased range. Now at level 2, we get some really fun spells like Scorching Ray, Misty Step, and Hold Person. I think the best choice to go with is Hold Person and Scorching Ray. And we're going to take the Quicken Spell, 3 sorcery points, and we can do a bonus action spell. That is extremely useful. At level 4, we get a feat and another cantrip, so I'd recommend at this point take a Minor Illusion if you haven't already. Bone Chill can also be a good choice too, because this can stop the target from receiving healing. And for our next spell, I think it's best to go with something for damage like Scorching Ray, so that's what we'll take there. Misty Step is also quite nice to have too. And for our ability score, or for our feat, Alert for the +5 to initiative is nice, or an ability score improvement. Dexterity for wetter weapon attacks, armor class initiative, intelligence for more prepared spells, charisma if you want to focus more on casting your sorcerer spells. I think it's best to actually level these both out a little bit more. We can also use a bunch of items to get ourselves arcane acuity, so there's not too much to worry about there. I think that works best. At level 5, we can take another choice in spell, and since we're a lightning draconic sorcerer, we're going to want to have a lightning spell. So Lightning Bolt is going to be one of our best damage options early game, and we can add additional damage to that, which is really great. And then once we hit level 6, we get our elemental affinity damage, applying our charisma modifier to the damage of our spells associated with our draconic ancestry, which is lightning. We can also get chain lightning from the wizard. At this point, it's good to have counterspell. This is also a spell that you can't learn from a scroll, so it's good to have it on either your sorcerer or your wizard. Haste is another really good spell because, again, we can twin our haste to another teammate. Fireball is always a good choice too, and even Sleet Storm to stop concentrations. If you have Mistress spells, there's obviously those choices too. Just ignore them. Now, at level 7, I'd love to get Ice Storm, but we're going to go and add in the Wizard here. This gives us some more cantrips, so we can grab Ray of Frost, Bone Chill, and I guess Friends if you're the face of the party. If not, you could go with like Toll the Dead, I guess, or Acid Splash. We're not going to use those often. Now for spells, these are mostly going to be just taken up. I would like to see Find Familiar here. but we're going to be able to learn spells from scrolls. So that's one of the beautiful things about the wizard is we don't have to worry too much about these spells as we got options later on, and we can always just learn level 6 spells from scrolls. Level 2, we're going to take blade singing, which will add our proficiency bonus to armor class and initiative, and constitution saving throws, so we're less likely to drop our concentrations. At this point, I guess burning hands and fog cloud can work. This weapon choice you just get to choose, and it's just going to give you a free weapon similar to the quarterstaff. Level 3, we get to take another choice in spell, and I would recommend grabbing Misty Step and Mirror Image at this point. Shadow Blade is also good, but we're going to take that next level. Shadow Blade is just going to make this build extremely overpowered. You don't, disclaimer, you do not have to take Shadow Blade. Every time that I do, people complain. You don't have to. It's just going to be the most powerful way to do this, and the build's title says OP, so we're going to make this overpowered. That's the way to do so. It's the strongest weapon in the game. You don't have to do it. Just going to say that again. And Darkness is another good pairing with that. Although if you don't want to take those, Clouded Daggers, Invisibility are 2 choices. You could even go with like the Phantasmal Force if you really wanted to, but I think these two pair together very well. We could take another cantrip. I guess Bursting Sinew, nothing super important there. And then make sure that we do have our Shadow Blade and Misty Steps equipped. Darkness is nice too if you really want to use it. You don't have to. There is 3 pieces of gear that can give you the ability to see in darkness. And for our final feat, Alert for the +5 initiative is hard to go wrong with, but we can also go to an improvement to our intelligence to take this up even further, or our charisma, because it will give us more lightning damage by +1 to lightning damage and +1 to spell save DC for charisma, or a +1 to spell save DC and +1 prepared spell from the wizard. So 2 options, but Alert is always a good choice for the +5 initiative. I'm just going to grab the intelligence there for another prepared spell, so then we can learn our elementals and things like that. You don't have to, but they're a choice. We'll also add in Fireball and Haste at this next level, and prepare both of those there. We also get to prepare, again, an extra spell from the wizard, which is nice. And level 6, extra attack. This is a big power spike. We can also then take, I guess, the Glyph of Warding and the Sleet Storm spells, but we're going to learn them from scrolls. And as for gear, there's a lot of great options actually for this build. One that's been prepared and fixed for patch 8 is the Gloves of the Battle Mage's Power. When you hit a target with a spell or cantrip that uses a weapon, spoiler alert, using Shadow Blade and doing a main hand attack counts. So you can do 2 main hand attacks, get a +4 to your arcane acuity. Also, Booming Blade counts as a cantrip too, so a lot of great options there. We don't need to use this though because the had a fire acuity whenever we deal fire damage, which we can get max stacks just by casting Scorching Ray. So that's going to be the best choice. On top of that, there's also the Helmet of Arcane Acuity if you want to go with light armor. Although I'm going to be going without armor and using clothing options so that we get our Draconic Resilience. Using the Helmet of Arcane Acuity will block that, so Fire Acuity is better, and even the Storm Science Power works well too, or Gloves of the Battle Mage's Power, which don't account as an actual heavy armor, so that's really nice too. You use one of these and leave the other, or you can use both if you really want to jack up your Arcane Acuity. I think the Gloves of Belligerent Skies works very well too if you don't want to go that route, or the Helldust Gloves for additional fire damage on your attacks and a +1 to spell save DC. And if you're using Shadow Blade, Brain Drain Gloves will give Mental Fatigue for 2 turns, which gives a -2 to all and mental saving throws, so Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. That's good choices. Cloak of Protection, or the Deathstalker Mantle if you're the Dark Urge. Robe of the Weave gives a +1 to spell save DC and spell attack rolls, and you get 1 to 6 health back on a saving throw, and a +2 to armor class, which brings up to 23. We can swap out the boots for 24, 25 with the gloves, and then, yeah, I guess that's the max there without adding in anything else. I guess the Defender Flail if you really want to. We need a sword. Now, I also have the Ring of Arcane Synergy. When you deal damage with a cantrip, you gain Arcane Synergy for 2 turns. This will add our Intelligence modifier to our weapon attack roll, or weapon damage rolls, which is pretty massive. So we want that. Amulet of Greater Health. Although, if you got things like the Psychic Spark to shoot an additional magic missile, that's nice. Periapta Wound Closure. Even the Storm Shutter Amulet works pretty well too if you wanted to go with something like that. Ring of Protection. There's also things like the, if you wanted to go with the Callous Glow Ring, if you got anything that's illuminated, you'll deal additional damage to them. Caustic Band is never a bad idea on melee attackers. Radiating Orbs, whenever you deal spell damage with illuminated, you can apply Radiating Orbs on the target, so we can kind of stack up our Reverberation from the boots pretty easily. There's a lot of good options here. Even the Strange Conduit Ring, if you hold a concentration, you get 1 to 4 psychic damage, which pairs well with our Shadow Blade. Now, if you're not going to use Shadow Blade, Fowler Alluve is a great weapon. You can get an Act 1 that carries you all the way through to the end of the game. You can also, since we can't use a shield in our when we're in our Blade Song, we can add the Cold Snap as an offhand weapon. So with the Cold Snap, what this does is it gives us a +1 to our armor class if this is in the offhand, and when a creature misses you with an attack, it must succeed a 13 DC Constitution saving throw or be chilled for 2 turns, taking double cold damage, which is really nice to have. So you can go that route if you'd like. You can also use the Infernal Rapier here. It's a good weapon as well, and gives you a free summon. Dolar Amaris in the offhands also work great because it gives you an additional 7 damage, which can be doubled. But if we want to really maximize things, we want to use Shadow Blade. You don't have to use Shadow Blade, as I mentioned a couple times already. I'm just going to say it again. You don't have to use Shadow Blade. But if you're going to, take a staff with free cast, use the Arcane Battery, take your Shadow Blade, upcast it. What it's going to do is replace your staff, and you got a free staff, or a free Shadow Blade upcast to do a 4d8 of psychic damage without expending any of your spell slots. So that's nice. In addition to this, we also got spells from scrolls. So Chain Lightning, learn that. Wall of Ice, you can't normally learn, so take that. Overlook's Freezing Sphere, you normally can't learn that either, so it's worth taking. We'll also take Ice Storm because it's a good way to set up crowd control, Cone of Cold, and I'd also recommend grabbing the Elementals and Global Vulnerability too, as the Elementals are free, and you can also use a staff to summon those in too. I'm not going to use them for the purpose of this video, as I always get complaints whenever I do, so no summons, but those are something that the wizard can add to the list. So with prepared spells, I wouldn't mind having Find Familiar, Misty Step, Mirror Image, Shadow Blade, Fireball, Haste, Ice Storm, a Cone of Cold, Chain Lightning, and Luke's Freezing Sphere. Our main damage options will be our Chain Lightning and then also our Lightning Bolt from the Sorcerer there. Cold spells work really great. I really like cold, but that wasn't going to be the focus of this. And yeah, I'll show you what this looks like in combat. Now, in your first turn of combat, always pop the Blade Song. This is going to give you a boost to your armor class. And the nice thing is, if you got Mirror Image up, that's 34 armor class. So 3 from Blade Song, 3 from your Mirror Images, 2 from Haze, 2 from the Robe of the Weave, 1 from Cloak Protection, Ring of Protection, 3 from Dexterity, 3 from Draconic Resilience, and 10 base armor class. So pretty survivable. Now, the thing that we want to do first is we want to get our Arcane Acuity up. So, Gloves of Battle Mage's Power, do your melee attacks on the targets. Otherwise, I'm going to start off with that because this is actually a pretty strong way to, yeah, you can see there, take a target with over 102 damage. I actually had the Gloves of Battle Mage's Power on, so that one attack gave us Arcane Synergy, which adds our Intelligence monitor, so +4 to our attacks, and 2 stacks of Arcane Acuity. So then we'll follow that up with another attack. Always go for the highest priority targets, any spellcaster. Unfortunately, we had a miss there. That's not always the best. I'm not sure why, but I can't see my UI either on this. Now, we also have a bonus action, so I would recommend first stacking up your Arcane Acuity so you do not miss again. And we're going to go ahead with this target here, if I can get in a range to be able to hit it. And then on top of that, once we get our Arcane Acuity built up, we can then use Quicken Spell to be able to hit even harder. So we'll just go with that. I'm not going to roll our free crit. Boom, that took out the target I wanted to take out. And now we get a +10 to our Arcane Acuity. So 26 spell save DC, and the wizard's got 27. So both of these are very likely to land their shots. We're more likely to miss any type of melee attack than this. So pretty good. And spell attacks are 22 and 23. Pretty powerful. Now we got Quicken spells. We got 2 of these, so we can use Quicken. We can give ourselves 2 free castings of this. And Chain Lightning is going to be our best option. If you got the Illithid ability free cast, pop that, and then we're going to go after whatever high priority target you can find next. So I guess we'll go after this one here. We'll go after them, and it'll probably change to this one. Don't use your elemental affinity. 40, 56, 58, 43. That took out 4 targets with 1 bonus action. That's why adding the Sorcerer is really good. And we got the Draconic Ancestry extra damage, so that was good too. Now I also use the Find Familiar Raven here. Why I like it so much is the Ren Vision can apply blind to a target. Doesn't have the highest hit chance, but we blinded this target, so it worked. That's all we needed, and it's going to draw aggro away from your team, so that's another nice benefit. And we're pretty hard to hit. That's why they don't go after us. And goodbye, Raven. It did an opportunity attack and missed. And once our Mirror Image is gone, shield, +5 to armor class. Now we're, again, hard to hit, so that's pretty useful. So we still have our Arcane Synergy. We have our Arcane Acuity stacked up. We got Blade Song healing charges and damage charges. So we're still very likely to land all of our attacks, but I think it's best to do a melee attack here. So Booming Blade can do upwards of 59 damage, but that psychic damage can be doubled because of the Resonance Stone. So that is very useful. We'll go ahead with that. It should take them at 72 damage and 6. Yeah, that's going to be good. We'll save Shadowheart here. 50 damage on a single melee attack. That is absurd. Now, we got a few targets hiding out back there, so we want to get at them. We now have our +10 to arcane acuity. So we're going to drop a Odaluk's Freezing Sphere. The reason that I like Odaluk's Freezing Sphere so much is look at that huge attack radius. So we're going to hit multiple targets with that, bonk, and create a difficult terrain. That took out all of them, except for that one who's now laying down there. And we got more guards to fight, which is perfect. So we'll use a quicken spell here. We now have more guards to face off against. And luckily for us, they went in the form of a cone of cold. So we'll blast them with that. That took out that one there, and I took out 2 of them, and then put the other 2 to half health. So, again, a very powerful turn. Counterspell is extremely valuable. You always want to have that available. And it's our turn again. So, what we can do is, we're the master of landing our spells, so we can drop Hold Person, and we can upcast that depending on how many enemies are left. So, there's 2 enemies here. We could easily have shot them both down, but I want to just play around them like a cat. So, then we got, I guess we can use a lightning spell here on one of the targets. We'll go with that because it may summon more guards for us. So lightning bolt, that was enough to take out that target there and likely add some more. No, we're good. Now, we don't have a quicken spell, but we don't have to worry because, oh, they broke their concentration. We'll flourish them and hopefully finish them off with a, yeah. That's all it took. The beautiful thing about a flourish from this is, yeah, the damage you get from your Shadow Blade is going to be very high. I also didn't even remember, but put this off in your offhand. The Dolar Amaris will give you that additional 7 damage, which is 14 with the Shadow Blade and the Resonance Stone, so that can hit really hard. You could also add in something else like the Cold Snap 2 for further armor class, but that is a Draconic Blade Singing Wizard multiclass in Baldur's Gate 3. Very powerful, quicken spell, 2 attacks. There's a lot to like here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and we'll see you all in the next video.